If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. We are moving right along with our Neovim configuration for Laravel development. And today I want to set up a feature that I find really handy. If you've seen my videos before with me using VS Code, you know that I use different extensions that will help with code completions or snippets or anything in that way, because there are times where I do forget how something is written exactly, and code completions or snippets do help with that. Let's go ahead to the documentation and get that set up. The plugin that I use for these completions is Nvim-CMP for completions. It is a really handy feature. We are going to be using some other things along with this to kind of be more specific in the languages that we use for Laravel. So PHP, I typically will use Vue as well. So we're going to basically have this set up to do that for us. Here's a little bit of a video that you can kind of see what's going on. So let's just go ahead, press play and see what it looks like. As you type, you start getting some code completion, some suggestions. It's a really, really handy feature. And as I said, I've used this sort of a thing in VS Code, and it is something that I do want to introduce to my Neovim configuration. So let's go down and see. This is for Vimplug, which we're not really going to be using. We're going to be using the lazy version of it, which is fine, but you can get the idea of where you're going to require it. Then you are going to use capabilities so that we can set up default capabilities. And this is essentially how we're going to be using it within our configuration files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead into our tree here, and in our Lua, my name, I don't want core, I want plugins. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it Nvim-CMP.lua, since that's the name of the plugin, and this is where we're going to set up our configuration. For me, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paste in what I have in my config files. This will make it a lot easier, and then we can just go ahead and take a look and see what's happening here. Now, there are some notations for other plugins that we're going to be leveraging. One is for buffer, one is for path. We're going to be using Lemonade for Lua snip as well. We're going to have some auto completion to help with snippets. And then we're going to have friendly snippets, which are super helpful. They are sort of an addition to the snippets that we're going to be getting from these other packages here. And then we have LSP kind.nvim, which is from On Sales. And this is actually taken a lot of inspiration from VS Code, which is perfect for my use case. So in here, we have a function. And we have some variables in here where we're requiring CMP, we're requiring Lua snip and LSP kind. And then we're grabbing the loaders from VS Code for the Lua snip friendly VS Code styling. For us, we're going to be using HTML. We're going to be using HTML, PHP doc, and Blade because those are going to be needed by Laravel. I also want to use it for HTML for Vue because Vue is a different file type. It will need its own snippets to handle the HTML within a Vue file in the templates. For the setup, we're going to be using completion and then complete op, which we're just going to be needing menu 1, preview, and no select. We'll see what those look like as we get into it. For now, just take that for what it is. In order to configure how this package interacts with the snippet engine, then we can use the expand function to expand the arguments within the snippet so that we can see what's going on within it. Then we have mapping so that as we have with the telescope UI that we have where we can kind of loop through things in order to select, that's the same thing that's going to be happening through here. And we're just setting some key maps in order to be able to utilize those suggestions that will pop up once we get that going. The sources for the auto completion, it's going to be from Nvim LSP, Lua snip, buffer, path. It's just basically grabbing the snippets, it's grabbing the text within the current buffer, the file system paths. It's getting the information from what we have configured in order to be able to access all of these different things for auto completion. Then we have formatting, where this is really going to be giving us that VS Code type feel as we're looking through things. So let me go ahead and save this. I'll do neo config, and now Mason is going to go ahead, or Lazy is going to go ahead and install all of that for us. And I have some changes in here, but as I said before, I'm not going to worry about that today. Exit out of that. We'll go into a Lua file, and let's go to that new one that we just created. Let's see. in here, we can kind of test this out with this Lua file. I'm going to go down to the bottom just so I don't mess anything up. But let's say I wanted to do, I'll make some space here. Let's say I wanted to do config. You see, now we have a suggestion, and then we can do Control J to navigate through the list of suggestions. We'll press enter to select that one. Equals, we'll say function. It's picking it up from the different files that we have where we're doing config equals duplicate index config. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to put some brackets and end. But see, this is a code action, so we can do space CA, and now we can see some different things to change it in here. This wasn't really a good example of what I'm trying to show, but it is an example of what I'm trying to show in a way. So why don't we actually try this one? We'll try it in our repos, testing Neovim. And let's go to our, well, let's start with the, do I have an app.blade.php? And in here, let's try HTML, or let's try PHP. Now you see we have a little snippet for PHP, and we do Control J to open up whatever the suggestion is. We can press enter, and now we have that little code completion for PHP, which is something that we didn't have before. Let's go to a view file. And let's try it in here. Let's say we have a div, and now you can see we can choose just a plain div. We can choose one with a class. We can choose one with the ID, and then some other random snippets in here, which is a pretty cool little thing. So that's what that little package is doing. That's what all that combination of packages is doing for the languages that we're going to be needing, or I'm going to be needing for Laravel. So let's take this a step further. Save that, exit out of that, and go back to Neoconfig. In the Nvim LSP video that I did, we only set up a couple, I think it was just one of the language servers for Mason. And what I want to do is I actually want to make sure that there are some others installed, because this is for Laravel. I want to make sure that our Laravel stuff is here. I'm going to add some in here. So the first one here is going to be HTML. The next one is going to be CSS LS. The next one is going to be Tailwind CSS. I also want the Emmet language server. I haven't quite been able to get Emmet to work properly, so I'm not going to be able to demonstrate that for you, but I do have it here so that when I do crack that code, then I will be able to do that here and it will already be installed. Just full disclosure, that's what is happening with that. I do have it here, but I can't exactly show it to you. The next one is going to be PHP Actor. The other one, it's going to be Volar. The last one, it's going to be IntelliFence, because that's a PHP language configuration that we want to have our system set up to be able to understand PHP. These are different language servers that will allow us to do that. Volar is really for Vue 3. If you've decided that you want to continue using Vue 2, then you can use, what was it? I can't remember what it is. I'll show you in a bit where it is. You can decide if that's what you want to do instead. Let me get rid of this, clear all. These are the ones that I want to definitely have installed every single time. I want to make sure that all of these are available to me. And if you take a look right down here, Mason is installing all of these down here. I don't know how many we have, but it looks like it's nearly done. IntelliFence was the last one, and let's see. But we try to import something. So we have that. That's a Vue thing. What about if we make a new file and we'll say test.vue, and I want to do script. so that we have that. And it looks like we have our completions for that as well. Since I'm using Q3, I'll do script setup like that, which is pretty cool. What if I want some props? Define props. Okay, very cool. And then for template, look at that. We have a snippet for template, and that's our little thing. Oh, cool. Did you see that? Did you see it change the top and the bottom? The opening and closing tags matched up. That's pretty cool. Let's say div. Let's try that again. Just something random. H1. Okay, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, but it did create an opening and closing bracket for that. See a p tag. Oh, that's a promise. On one p tag, you can just kind of navigate through them. There it is. So that's good. Now what I want to do is I want to exit out of this. I need to save that. Go back to Neo config. And actually what I want to do is I want to do check health. Just because we installed a bunch of stuff and I want to make sure that everything is good. And Lua rocks, again, these are languages we're not using. Good, 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 good. Looks like everything is doing pretty well. We don't have any issues. Good. So now that we have set that up, we need to kind of have our completions work with our LSP config. To do that, we'll go over to our LSP config Lua file, and we will work in here and add that to this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a value, and we're going to call it dependencies. And this is in the documentation. We're going to require those plugins that we just used, not all of them, but we are going to use a harsh 7th CMP -nvim -LSP. We're going to need the Antosha Nvim LSP file operations. We'll say config equals true. This LSP config is okay. We're also going to be creating another one. We'll say that it is CMP Nvim LSP, and then we can just require it. What's that snippet do? Let's see. There we go. We've got a snippet for that. That's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and copy this so I don't have to type it out again. We have our key map, our ops, on attach. I'm going to create another variable, and I'm going to call it capabilities. And then we're going to be using the default capabilities. Hopefully I spell that correctly and we won't get an error. And now when we configure the server, we can use those new languages that we added that are going to be installed already. We can attach those capabilities to those language servers from this capabilities thing right here, from the variable. I'm going to copy this. And the first one that I actually want to do up here, it's going to be the HTML. Not only are we going to be doing on attach, we're going to say capabilities equals capabilities. I'll grab this one. And then we'll do the same for all the rest of them. So the next one will be CSS LS. This one will be Tailwind CSS. Just so that we can match everything and make sure that we have it all set up. The next one that I have is do. We have Tailwind CSS. We want the Emmet language server. Here we want the PHP actor. We're going to need 2 more. I'll copy this twice. or I'll copy it and paste it twice. PHP actor, elephants, Polar, and then we'll do the same thing for our Lua LS. Now, something that we can also do with our Lua LS is add some other settings, and you can also do these for the other language servers that we're using, but for Lua in particular is something that you can do, setting up the diagnostics to use globals as Vim or workspace, and then we'll expand on runtime. It's just to basically give it what it wants for Lua, and because we're using Lua for our NVM configuration, this is why I'm adding it to this one in particular as well. Let's go ahead, exit out of this. Let's just make sure that we have no errors in here. And we have a failed thing, not read username. Oh, let's try to update it just to see. So you can see the Treesitter parser for PHP has been installed, and there was something else that I just happened to miss, but we'll try to update it again just to make sure that everything is green, and then we'll go ahead and try to install this again. Here, let's see, go here and do Shift-I and see if that works. Not read username. Make sure that I type that correctly, because that's something that I am notorious for. And Tosha 417 Nvim LSP file operations. Let's try this again. Now it is cloning it, it has been installed, and we should be good to go. So let's go back to our Nvim LSP. Let's just try, is it me or do we have a lot of other functions in here? Let's try this now. Config equals function. There's a snippet for that now. Very cool. So we have our snippets talking to our LSP servers, which is a good thing. And now there's one more thing that I want to add to this entire configuration. It's basically to configure our formatting, diagnostics, stuff like that, different aspects of this that we're also going to find useful for the environment that we'll be working in as well. What we can do is we can head over to the documentation and I'll show you what it is. For us, we're going to be using none-ls, and none-ls is basically a fork of another previous project called null-ls that's no longer being maintained. It's not being upgraded. Some developers got together and they have been maintaining none-ls because it is such a good product. This is something that helps your LSPs deal with diagnostics, code actions, formatting, all that stuff. This is something that we can find useful as well. Let's go down and take a look. It's really, really easy to set up. This is basically what it's going to look like. For us, we're going to be setting it up for the things that I find useful. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and add this to our configuration. I'm going to go ahead to our folder structure over here, and I'm going to create another file, and I'm going to call this one none ls, if I can spell it correctly, .lua. We'll return, create a table. I'm going to use nvim /none ls.nvim. That's just coming from that GitHub repository that we just looked at. We're going to do config equals function. I'm going to create a variable called local. Or sorry, we're going to create a local variable, and I'm going to call it null ls equals require. Very, very cool. Null, but this is null -ls because it's still using the same names as the previous version. So here we can just say null ls setup. And for here, we'll need some sources. And our sources are going to be what we essentially need. So we'll say null ls, we'll use that variable, we'll add built-ins. And for formatting, I want to use style Lua for our Lua files for formatting that. Now, when it comes to our development environment, I want to use prettier. So I'll do prettier D. All of these are in the documentation. I'm just letting you know that that's where I'm getting these from. Now for our diagnostics, I'm going to be using PHP stan. And then for formatting also, I'm going to be using Pint. These are for our Laravel stuff. Now we can do Vim key map. Wow, Vim key map set. Wow, look at that. Normal. I'm going to use the leader, which is space. Then I want to use GF. And then we'll say Vim LSP buff format. Close that off. And that should be good. So we'll save, quit all out of that. Neoconfig. Now we have none ls installed. Did not mean to exit out of that. You should have some formatting in here. We're going to check our PHP stuff just to kind of make sure that all of this is working. But again, because I installed stuff, I want to do check health. And look at that. We're starting to get some errors. Now again, Fluorock is not something that I'm using, so I'm not going to worry about that error. But let's continue to go down. And look at that. We just installed null ls, and it's saying that we don't have Stylua included. We need to include this. Even though our Mason is installing, it has certain things installed already. There are some that you just can't do it that way. How I do this is now I can actually open up Mason and I can use Mason to install these things. So how I do that is I'm going to press Shift:. I'm going to type in Mason. And if you press the tab, you see that Mason has different options that you could potentially use to open up. And then it'll be tab. Tabbing will have you loop through them. So what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and open up Mason directly. These are the LSPs that we have installed, that we have enabled or ensured that they were installed every time we open up Neoconfig. But the ones we need are not included in this installed section. So what we can do is we can actually look for them. The first one is actually going to be Stylua. I'm going to type in a /. That's going to open up search for us. I'm going to press STYLUA. And look at that, Lua is right there, or Stylua is right there. I'm going to press enter to select it, and then I to install it. And if we go all the way up top, you can see that now Stylua has been installed. For giggles, let's exit out of here and open up check health again. And then we're going to go ahead back down just to make sure that our Stylua is now installed. And there it is. It has been installed. Well, let's go ahead and grab the rest of these. And if there's anything else, then we can do it there as well. We'll go to Mason. I'm going to do a /, and then I'm going to have a P, and then I'll just go to that one first. NT, there's Pint. Make sure that's installed. I'll make sure PHP stan is installed. And what was the other one? Prettier D is also installed. Now, as I said before, when we were talking about using Volar, if you go down a little bit, and if you're using Vue 2, you can actually use Viter. Viter is also included in this, by the way, and you can use Viter as your language server for Vue 2. But since I'm using Vue 3, this isn't going to work properly. I just installed Volar automatically. Anything else you need, you can come through here and pick which one you want, manually install it. If you're unable to make sure that it's installed the way we did it initially, then you can come in here and go ahead and install it from here. As you can see, there are a ton of them. I'll exit out of that. Neoconfig, check health, just to make sure that I didn't forget any. And then we'll scroll down and just make sure that all of those are in there and have been selected. It should be good to go. So let's get out of here. Let's get into our Laravel project. And let's test this out. Let's go to routes. Let's go to routes and let's see what we have here. Let's just try PHP. You can see there are a bunch of different things in here. Let's try to create another route. Look at that. if you take a look, you have our suggestions just as you normally would. You have, let's see, what is this? The component. This is the facade, because if you look here, it's showing you what that selection is. And if you go down, it's showing you what this selection is. And it's got stuff with inertia in there, which is pretty cool too. It's not complete with inertia stuff, but I do think that that's pretty cool that it does recognize those. Not change anything left in there. We'll come here. Let's go to our blade file. And let's see. Let's try going to our view. Had a little bit of a thing pop up. Let's get out of that and see if we can get that to show up again. Just so we can see what kind of errors we could potentially get. Can't find TypeScript, which is fine. It can't find TypeScript because I don't have TypeScript installed and I'm not really using the server or anything like that. This is going to be an irrelevant error for me because I'm not actually using TypeScript in this project. So that's fine. Why don't we try, look at that, function const equal, so it can create the functions for us as well. Let's get out of here. Let's make a, or actually, let's go to the controllers. Let's just create a random controller. Test controller.php. That didn't work the way I wanted it to. Test controller. File ends with trailing white space. That's fine. Let's do PHP. Namespace is app HTTP controllers. And then what is this called? Class test controller. Open that up. Namespace should probably be, let's try space CA, fix PSR namespace. Great. So that did that the way that it was supposed to, but try this. So now it's fixed that for us. So now we can get rid of that, and now we don't have an error there. Let's try, what does function look like for us here? Public function. Look at that. That's a Laravel public function. Type cannot be found. Well, that's because we don't have anything in there. But as you can see how this would be helpful, right? So let's go to models, see what it can do for models. Let's say function in here. Same sort of a thing in here. These are Laravel functions. That looks good. Let me delete this file because we don't need it. We've set up code completions, we've set up snippets, we've made it a lot more user-friendly for us, and we actually have a pretty good setup for Laravel. Even though we have a very basic setup, what I showed you was all very, very basic. If you take a look at my .files, you'll see that I have a lot more going on, but this is just to kind of give you a real deep dive into it, just to see its potential, why I like it, why I've been using it. I know it seems a little bit more complicated than just installing VS Code or what have you, but we have done a lot, and it's still a very basic configuration, at least by my definition of a configuration, and based on what my needs are, which is fine. It is at least giving you a starting point on how to do this. And as I said, because I've gotten so much positive feedback about this series, I did actually get a request to do one more thing, which is going to be one more video, and that's going to be the very end of it. It's actually pretty much the icing on the cake for me in terms of this whole configuration, but I hope that you can see that it is something that forces you to kind of learn your tools. And even though I'm no pro at this, I find that I'm paying more attention to my code because I'm sort of more engaged with it. I don't know how to explain it, and unless you've been sort of participating in it, then it's not really something that you're going to really get. I feel that I'm paying more attention to each line more so than I did before. Because I'm doing that, it's forcing me to knock out all of the distraction of doing other things. There's a whole philosophy that goes into this thing, and I don't really want to get too deep into it. It's just something that I found to be very useful for my use case, and it has been something that I do want to share with you. But like I said, we're going to have one more video, and I hope you found it useful. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like. and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.